Hello, hello, hello. This is Tanya Jones Lucy coming to you from Butterfly Effect Counseling and Consulting LLC. Woo! Y'all, I cut my hair. I cut. I'm feeling some joy. Oh, I feel free. My shoulders are moving. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming on here. Make sure that you click like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button. And just like the wind blows, subscribe. Now, what are we getting into today? Imposter syndrome. That's right. That's what we're talking about today. Imposter syndrome. And so, yes, okay, already I'm having to turn off my phone. Should have did that first, but we're going to keep it moving. So, yes, imposter syndrome. Why are we talking about this? Well, today is Wednesday, and I'm supposed to have my videos out. My video's out on Wednesdays. I do my recording on Saturdays. And on Saturday, I knew I didn't record. On Sunday, I knew I didn't record. Monday, I knew it. Tuesday, I knew it. And so here we are on Wednesday. And last night, instead of recording last night, I thought to myself, I should just skip. I shouldn't be doing this anyway. Ain't nobody really listening to what you got to say. You know what? You're not prepared. You're not even ready for this. What are you doing? I feel like an imposter. And it brought me back to a couple of moments. There's two moments that are very distinctive where I was spiritually attacked instantly. And let me explain this for you. So for those of you who do not know, a spiritual attack, being from the Christian faith, we believe in things called spiritual attacks, where there is a divine how do I put this? The enemy is coming for you for whatever reason. For me, I believe it's because I have a purpose and a message and a calling on my life. And so I feel that every time I get a good momentum going, it's like the enemy comes. I'm going to give you laryngitis. Who gets laryngitis? So that you have no voice. Well, someone who uses their voice as a ministry, as a gift, as a way of healing others, yeah, totally makes sense. So every time I get a good flow, something happens. So imposter syndrome, like, what is imposter syndrome? So I'm gonna let you know. It's a psychological phenomenon where individuals doubt their accomplishments and have like a consistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. I have that. I'm like, okay, I went to school, I got my master's, I did all the training, I did everything that I was supposed to do. What is it, 2 years after graduate school, 2 years after your master's in the field, being supervised by someone in the field. What else? Two state board regulating exams, 4 hours long, 8 hours of exam, and I still have imposter syndrome sometimes where I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this. Now, here's the thing. Imposter syndrome happens despite evidence of the person's competence or of the person's success. So despite the fact that I have a successful business, I have a successful private practice, that I am helping people on a daily basis, where people have come to me and said to me, my God, you have touched me. You have saved, I won't say saved. No one's ever said you saved me. But you have helped heal me. You have, well, actually, one person did say I saved them, that they were on the brink of making other life ending choices. And I was the last call that they were going to make to see if, counseling was going to work for them or not. Like, despite the evidence, you still have this fear that you're not enough. It's so interesting that people with imposter syndrome, they tend to believe that they have achieved their success due to luck or timing or other external factors rather than their own skill and ability. Hello, this is me. It makes no sense. And I know that people can feel like this from all corners of the world. But it's like, why? Why? Like I was saying, there's two times. Once I was speaking at a women's retreat for a church, amazing experience. Twice I was speaking 2 minutes or less at a church about letting go and just not even, I lied. I wasn't even speaking about letting go. I was speaking about my services. I have it right here on my desk. I did this right here. Well, you can't really see what it says, right? It's backwards. It says let it go. Women were putting their fears into a tin and then taking it home and like just letting their fears go. And all I was doing was sharing my services. I was on a plane coming home from Nigeria. Good experience. I was on a plane coming home from Nigeria. As the plane started to descend, I knew instantly. Sorry, let me rephrase this. I had a speaking engagement at the church, like I said, for the women's retreat. And as my plane started to descend out of the sky, coming from Nigeria, instantly I got this thought in my mind: I need to cancel. I can't do that event. Why would they even choose me? I don't know what I'm doing. What can I possibly say to these people? These women are going to be looking at me for something, and I can't provide that. Why would I say yes to this? I can't do this. I'm not enough. As the plane was descending, and when I say the voice in my mind, I'm not talking about something audible. I'm not talking about a hallucination. I'm talking about a spiritual attack from the enemy that had it in my mind out of nowhere. I wasn't thinking about it. But I remember as clear as day, that plane started to descend, and I was like, oh, I'm about to go home. I'm almost there. And it was like, cancel your event. You can't do it. You're not enough. Okay. Number two, when I'm supposed to just tell about my services at the other church. Now, do you see a theme? Okay. I get finished explaining my services. The response in the room is good and positive. And one of the speakers that day said, get her number. I need to talk to her. And I was like, oh, okay, great. No problem. Yes, absolutely. I turned around and started to walk back to my seat. And instantly, the enemy, you can't do that. You can't speak to her. Matter of fact, you give her number and give her information to someone else, because if she calls you, she's going to be expecting A, B, and C, and you can't do A, B, and C. You're not good enough. You have self-doubt. You have fear. You have anxiety, and it's consistent, and it's like you're not good enough. So is imposter syndrome really imposter syndrome, or is it the enemy? You're not good enough. You know, I was at Elevation Church what did they call it? Elevation nights? I don't know what they called it, but amazing, amazing concert, amazing time. And it was several months back, but if they come back, I'm surely gonna be in the crowd, and I'm gonna try to get me a front row seat or something, because anyway, I digress. I was at that concert, and in the middle, Pastor Stephen does a like a 20 to 30-minute sermon. And in his sermon, he talked about the woman with the issue of blood and how she touched the hem of Jesus' garment. And we all know that story, but he broke it down to where I was like, oh, he was talking about, what do you think was going on in her mind as she got to Jesus? Like, do you know how hard the enemy might have been fighting to let this woman know, like, what are you doing? You can't do that. You know you can't touch him. Why do you think you're going to be able to do that? Who told you you could get that close to him? What makes you think that you have the right to touch Jesus? Oh, who told you that he's going to heal you? The enemy. So imposter syndrome, right? You have these feelings, you have these fears. And I like what it says. It's not, no evidence. All the evidence points to I'm doing good. I'm helping people. People are healing. There is no evidence that I'm not enough. It can be triggered, right, by like new challenges or a promotion or a situation that a person's pushed into. I started thinking about this as well. So I have different circles, and you start thinking about you yourself as a Black woman. And I have a colleague that I often speak to, and she is of the Hispanic culture. And wow, do we get imposter syndrome more than our Caucasian brothers and sisters, than other cultures? In fact, imposter syndrome can affect anyone, but it can be particularly challenging for persons of color, right? Oftentimes we're already facing systematic barriers, discrimination, racism, right? Which can make it harder for people to achieve and have success, right? But as a result, you might start to doubt your own abilities, right? You can start to doubt your own worth, right? And so, furthermore, it can be extremely challenging as a woman and a woman of color, right? To say to myself, I'm enough. I can do this job. I can do therapy. I can help others. I can do this. And it's so interesting to me how there can be a difference. I have a colleague that is thriving in her private practice, thriving. And I say to myself, is it because she's Caucasian? Is there a level of I'm going to succeed that I don't have because of our past, because of our experiences that we have faced, right? Is it because she naturally has this I belong, and I naturally tend to have this I gotta fight for it type of feel? I don't know. I'm not sure. And then I think about my anxiety. I mean, I already have anxiety. So if I have anxiety, does it make imposter syndrome worse? Is the devil just playing on what he already knows I have, right? Pre-existing anxiety, sprinkle on a little imposter syndrome, bam, she's stuck. She's not fulfilling what God has told her to do. Just a few videos back, I was on here crying, talking about I got to do what God told me to do. I got to keep going. And now I'm laying in the bed, triggered, feeling like I'm not enough. I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm restless. It's overwhelming sometimes how I get stuck. And why am I stuck? Anxiety, fear, self-doubt. The one message that keeps coming up for me in particular, just me, I can't talk for you. I can talk for me. The one message that keeps coming up over and over and over again that I know the devil obviously has gotten his grips on is I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough to help. I don't know enough. I can't do enough. I'm not enough. This message has been with me for years. Years. I look at my physical appearance and I say to myself, you're not enough. I talk about self-care with other clients. I drive self-care. Do I do it myself? Not enough. Right? And so when I'm experiencing imposter syndrome, when I'm having anxiety, I'm looking for people that can support me in that. And I get that. I do. I am so blessed that there are people in my life that say, yeah, girl, you could do that. Oh, girl, you should do that class. Oh, you need to put out that webinar. Oh, I would go to your retreat. I have that. I have that in friends. I have that in colleagues. I have that. But does it reduce my imposter syndrome? Does it build my self-esteem? Absolutely. Does it build my confidence? Absolutely. But that imposter syndrome, it still comes. Why? Is it spiritual? Is it just like that thing that God is going to continue to use? Not God. Well, God can have a footing in this story too. Don't get it twisted. But that the devil is continuing to use, is he continuing to use this you're not enough in my life to keep me stuck? Is God continuing to say, hey, honey, you are enough? I'm telling you, you are enough. Why? Because we don't have to be enough. He's enough. God is enough. And the more and more and more and more we remind ourselves, I don't have to be enough. As long as I have God, that's all I need. Oh, my favorite verse. I kid you not, I do not know where it is, but saying to myself over and over and over again, God's grace is sufficient. That has gotten me through so many things because I know I'm not enough, despite the evidence. So here we go. Here we go. The devil, the enemy, you're not enough. God, you are not enough. But guess what? You got me. And when you put me and you together, that equals enough. And you can do this. And so sometimes for myself, I'm like, is this imposter syndrome? Is this laziness? Oh, don't even go there, right? Is this laziness? Do I have enough faith to do this? Sometimes I'm like, God, I'm not gonna cry. I know. I know there's more. I know I'm supposed to do more. But do I have enough faith? Do I have enough faith? There is a Bible study course that I want to take, and I didn't take it because I saw that there was homework and there was papers, and that you would be graded. And I was like, I'm not smart enough to do that. Great. degree. But some reason I'm not smart enough to get through Bible class. biblical counseling degree on my wall. My master's degree on my wall. My license, master's degree, and getting your actual license completely. You need one to get the other, but getting the other is a journey in its own. I have it. I'm not smart enough to write a paper. Who? Why? Is that the enemy? Is that me? Who is telling me I'm not enough? I don't know. I don't know. Who is telling you that you're not enough? Sometimes self-sabotage. All the enemy needs to do is give you a little bit of message. If that's all you need, that's all you need. To have that inadequacy, to have that self-doubt, to have that fear, to have that worry, to have that thought that I'm not enough. What does God expect from me? Right? I don't even have enough faith to do this. I feel empty inside sometimes. I feel lonely sometimes. How can I possibly help people? How can I possibly heal others? But God. But God. God says His grace is sufficient. He is enough. I'm sorry if I'm using it wrong. That's how I got through. Several. I guess I got to do a video on that. That's how I got through several issues, problems, incidences. Just by saying, God help me. God, I need you. And then if you don't do it, right? If you say, I am not enough, and you decide not to do something, then you got guilt, right? You got guilt. You can have all the knowledge, you can have all the experience, you can have all the degrees. You can also feel shame and guilt because you're not using your gifting. And I look at this world today and I'm like, God, not only do we need you, but God, I feel like you're coming back soon and I don't want to be stuck doing nothing. So what do we do? How do we overcome this imposter syndrome? Better yet, how do we know? How do we know that it's imposter syndrome, right? What is it? So there's different types, right? Actually, they say there's 5 different types of imposter syndrome. I'm not going to get into them today. I'm not. But I will give you some signs, right? Self-doubt. Do you doubt your abilities? Do you feel like you're not enough? Despite the evidence that you are. Discounting your achievements. Do you attribute your success to like luck or, some kind of outside factor rather than just the hard work or the God-given gifts and abilities that He has provided you, right? There's a fear of failure. I once did a TikTok. Well, it's not a TikTok. I did a reel on Instagram that I was fear of success. Sorry. I was fearful of failure, but I was also fearful of success. Do you avoid taking on new challenges or pursuing new opportunities out of fear? Do you want to, are you scared that you're going to be exposed as a fraud, right? Are you that person that has so much worry and anxiety that you over prepare for things, right? Do you spend way too much time preparing for a task or a project and your anxiety just floods you? Are you that one person that everything has to be perfect, right? So you spend a lot of time and high anxiety on the standards of what you're trying to do, on the outcome of what you're trying to do, what it's supposed to look like, right? Or do you compare yourself to others, right? Do you often compare yourself where you're like, okay, this person does it this way. Am I measuring up to that, right? Does my success measure up to their success? Or do you have just simple thoughts? Like, do you have thoughts like, I don't belong here? My God, I have that one all the time. Or, I'm not good enough to do this. That's me too, right? You can identify with many of those signs and symptoms. So, what do we do? Like, what do we do about it? And why do we feel this way? You know what? It could be past experiences, it can be unrealistic expectations that we put on ourselves. Sometimes we put our bar too high and it's unrealistic. So you got to bring that bar down just a little bit, right? But sometimes our past experiences, our negative experiences from the past, they can tell us that we're not enough. They can tell us that we're inadequate, right? Even though the evidence says otherwise. Comparing ourselves again, having those thoughts again, just the fact of having anxiety or depression, right? All of that. But my question is, like, what do we do? How are we going to overcome it? Right? How do we overcome this? And so the first thing is, right, we got to recognize our feelings, right? We have to recognize the imposter syndrome. We have to recognize the spiritual attack, right? And we have to recognize what we are feeling, acknowledging your doubts and your fears. Ooh, I'm about to tell y'all something. Ooh, I'm about to cry. And the truth shall set you free. One of the reasons why I often, keep it in. One of the reasons why I often feel like I have imposter syndrome, where I'm not enough, is because I don't feel that I'm a strong reader. I don't even feel that I'm a good reader. I feel extremely inadequate. I was that child when you had popcorn reading. Dear Lord, you might as well have put a stake through my heart because I couldn't stand popcorn reading. The anxiety of when are they going to call on me and when do I have to read this thing out loud? Whew. I'm not a strong reader. I am not a good reader. And it stems from my childhood. As an adult, I am doing things to to remedy that, right? I have a master's degree. So obviously I did something. But that's where mine stems from. You're not enough. I just shared deep. I don't tell many people that. And so to be able to say, okay, recognizing your feelings, recognizing where these thoughts might come from. That's number one, right? Then you got to focus on your own strengths. Focus on what you have done, your accomplishments. Don't focus on your weaknesses. Focus on what you are doing, what has helped you, what you have achieved, right? Reframing your thinking, of course. We always have to reframe. And if you don't know what that is, reframing is taking a negative statement, twisting it, turning it, changing it, and to a positive statement, right? Recognizing that everyone has areas where they can improve. Everyone has areas where they can focus on learning and growing. That's why I didn't want to go to that Bible class and do that paper because I'm like, that means I'm going to have to read stuff. No, I read books. I read a lot, but or I read. I can't say I read a lot. I'm not gonna play myself out like that. But I read. But for me, for some reason, when I saw that there was papers, it was like, oh no, I'm gonna be judged, and I'm gonna have to do more than what I normally have to do, which is just sit and listen and take notes, take a test, right? Of course, you have to have support. You got to be able to talk to trusted friends, colleagues, a professional that is able to break down and go into the past, clean it up, sweep it up, able to bring it to the present, be able to go forward, be able to help you to figure out why you think the way you do. Right? Of course, self-care, right? Take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. Sleep, exercise, regular eating, diet, all of that stuff. Activities that bring you joy, right? Challenging your thoughts, similar to the reframing, right? You want to be able to challenge, like, when you have those negative thoughts about yourself and your abilities, and challenge them with evidence. Look at the examples of things that you have accomplished and things that you have done. You have to be able to challenge that. And again, I swing it back over to getting help from a professional if you need. We are trained and skilled to help you through this. And one of the things that I wanted to say to my therapist, we talk about this all the time. We also have to seek support with our colleagues, because we know what it's like to have imposter syndrome and helping others. We also have to practice self-compassion, be kind to ourselves, remind ourselves of everything that we have done. Me sitting here in this video right now, I'm like, I've done a lot. I've helped a lot. So when I'm laying in my bed saying that I'm not enough, that's not true. So to have a colleague or somebody that can say to me, girl, I read your newsletter. Last week I was pumped up by my colleagues. They were like, girl, I read your newsletter. You were doing it. And I'm like, really? You liked it? Okay. I'll keep it up. That's what I'm thinking. Challenging our negative thoughts. As a therapist, get a therapist. Doing therapy, just like we tell our clients to help, right? We have challenges, we have things that we have to work through, we need to process too. So get a therapist. Woo! This was a lot, y'all. And if I can sit here and tell you truthfully, this video was not planned. I didn't even put together anything. I just started speaking. My God. If I could put this video together in 28 minutes, talk about some things, right? I had some notes. I had a general idea of what I wanted to look like, but God, God came through and he said, you thought you were going to go this way, but honey, you're going that way. And I'm just grateful. I am grateful. I am thankful. And I don't know if it's imposter syndrome. Half of the time I'm aware and I know when it's the enemy. It could be both. But I'm here to tell you, you are enough. You are absolutely enough. I'm enough. And we're going to do this thing, whatever it is. We are enough. So I thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you have clicked, liked, and subscribed. I pray that you know that you are enough. And I pray that you have a relationship with God, because if you are not enough, He surely is. And so I thank you for tuning in. Please click like and subscribe, and have a good day. Thank you.